Just over 2,000 years ago, the emperor decreed that all the world must be enrolled. Let no one fail to heed. The world was quite mixed up, you see, and no one seemed to know how many people were there and what taxes did they owe. Throughout the earth, the rich, the poor, the young, the very old, all traveled to their towns of birth so they could be enrolled. And so it was to Bethlehem a man named Joseph went to list his name and see how much he owed the government. Beside him Mary traveled too. Not once did she protest how long and hard the trip had been, how much she needed rest. In Bethlehem they found the inn and knocked upon the door. "My rooms are filled," the owner yelled. "I haven't any more." When Joseph told him quietly of gentle Mary's plight, that she would have a baby soon, perhaps that very night, the owner stood and thought and rubbed his bushy bearded jaw. "I'll let you have the stable then. You'll have to sleep on straw." So Joseph and his wife unpacked and settled down to rest, not caring that they couldn't have the biggest and the best. They ate their supper slowly as they watched the sun go down and yawned as darkness fell at last upon the little town. was silent. Everyone, it seemed, was fast asleep, except for the shepherds in the fields who had to watch their sheep. They huddled close and whispered low to keep themselves awake. Then suddenly their eyes grew wide, their knees began to shake. For there above them in the sky an angel did appear. The glory of the Lord shone down, and they were filled with fear. The angel spoke, "Fear not, behold, I bring you news of joy. In Bethlehem this very night was born a baby boy, who is Savior Christ the Lord. He'll win over death and sin. Upon a manger bed he lies, behind a lowly inn." And suddenly a multitude of angels filled the sky, their voices glorifying God and praising him on high. And peace on earth, goodwill to men, resounded through the air. It seemed there must have been at least 1,000,000 angels there. No longer did the shepherds quake with anxious fear and dread, and when the angels disappeared, the shepherds quickly said, "Oh, let us go to Bethlehem and find the manger bed." And off across the fields they ran, to Bethlehem they sped. The manger wasn't hard to find, and there the shepherds' eyes fell on a sight that filled their hearts with wonder and surprise. For there was Joseph standing tall and gazing down with care upon his blessed Mary and the baby lying there. "A wondrous child," the shepherds cried in voices of delight. "See there, around him shines a strange and heavenly-looking light. How warm and bright it seems against the coldness of this night. He surely is the one we seek. The angel's words were right." The shepherds spread their story, but none of them knew the 3 wise men would come to worship him too. These traveled along through winter's rains and summer's heat on desert plains. To Jerusalem city they jolted and bounced. "We've come on a trip from the east," they announced, "for we saw there a star that proclaimed the news that a baby was born, King of the Jews." They asked many people, in fact, quite a few, "Where is the baby?" But nobody knew.
Bearing gifts, we travel so far. The
When Herod the ruler heard of their hunt, he thought, I'm the king. What more do they want? I won't have another. I'll kill him indeed. And he sent for his scribes with the greatest of speed. They gathered at once as the king had commanded. Now where was this Christ to be born, he demanded. They answered, in Bethlehem village, we know, for so it was forecast long, long ago. King Herod then sent for the wise men 3. The child's in Bethlehem village, said he. Don't stop till you find him. Search far and wide, for I want to worship him too, he lied. So they started again on their trip with a sigh. Then one of them shouted, Look, there in the sky, as brilliant as 10,000 candles at least, was the wonderful star they had seen in the east. It led them now by the light it was giving, straight to the place where Jesus was living. He was there in the house with Mary, his mother, and they gave him their treasures, first one, then another. We found him at last, they joyfully cried, and knelt to worship at the little boy's side. For this was the Savior, the King in his birth, was bringing God's peace to people on earth. Yes, this was God's reason for sending his Son, and the wonderful story had only begun. Angels, live animals and innkeeper, King Herod and the scribes, the townspeople, sheep and shepherds, the 3 wise men, baby angels,